Hello and welcome. I'm Gail Thompson, and this is the Darby Creek Diaries. We're having a special blog hop today to benefit Coffee Oasis. I'll get into the details of that later, but I thought we'd get started on the card first. Now, sometimes you just don't have the dies you want. This is an Impression Obsession snow globe. And I like it, but it was kind of small for what I wanted. So I decided that I would make a snow globe using just plain old dies that most people have already. I love stretching my supplies, as I'm sure you do. I'm just putting this circle die end as a placeholder for my top of my snow globe. I'm doing this stamping using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And this is a new stamp, so I wanted to be able to stamp it a couple of times and make sure I had a great impression. But I just had that there kind of because I know where I wanted it to be in the card. So it's not too tall. It doesn't interfere with anything. So be sure and use that trick. It's kind of handy. And notice that at the top, it hangs over the top of that card. That's because we're going to make a hinge, and I need it to be able to be attached to the back. I'll show you in a little bit. So now I'm just heat embossing with Hero Arts clear fine embossing powder. I never get over the excitement of embossing. I just think it's magical. I think I say that about every time I do that too. I'm so sorry. So I'm just tapping it off. I had used my powder tool, so it's pretty, safe. Notice that I get a smudge on the left-hand side. Everything I touch always winds up messed up somehow. But it turns out that I used the thin cardstock and I meant to use the 110 Nina. So I'm going to be switching it out in a minute if you notice that magically disappears. I'm going to use it on another card. I just will attach it and make it thicker and it'll be fine. So now I'm going to position my acetate in there a little bit taller than the top of what my card's going to be, because I'm going to be folding it over to make the hinge. Absolutely be thorough with your powder tool, because acetate is very staticky and I guarantee you'll have a mess if you're not. And that's Brutus Monroe, Alabaster white ink. And I'm just going to put some snowflakes. Now, I was going to heat emboss those snowflakes because this is heat resistant acetate. But in my hurry, I forgot, and I merely just heat set this pigment ink. That's kind of dangerous, but it did work on this heat resistant acetate. I practiced off to the side. So I'm just putting some random snowflakes around. Now, I wanted to tell you a minute about the Coffee Oasis. It is an organization that provides programs for drug abuse, homelessness, violence, and poverty in Washington State. And it is very special to our owner of Cat Scrappiness, who is sponsoring this big hop. And there are loads of prizes as well. So all of that information is going to be over at my blog, the darbycreekdiaries.blogspot.com, and I'll have the link below for you, as well as make sure you do your commenting over on the blog, because that's how you're going to win. But that's all explained over there. So I am not even going to pretend to be a colorist. So I'm just hitting some ink tints, laying some ink tints color down on the hat using, it's not really quite a black. I don't have that color with me, but I wind up putting black on top, so it doesn't matter. Ink tints color pencils are watercolor pencils, basically. The color just pops when you hit it with a little bit of water. Now, this is just regular cardstock, so the amount of water is almost none. But look how magical and bright it becomes. That brush is just barely damp because you don't want the paper to pill up. But I didn't really want to use watercolor because I didn't really have any that was all white. I'm out of my Ranger, some brand one, but that does stay white. So I'm just going to show you briefly this. I would be embarrassing myself to say I was able to really color and shadow, but I get it done decently, and it's not really the kind of card that the coloring matters a whole bunch. It's pretty simple. And I'm hoping that the people that get it, whoever that may be, will just enjoy the snowflakes on the outside of the acetate. You know, I'm looking out my window. I'm here in Ohio in the United States, and the snow is just coming down. We didn't get a fall here, and although I like drawing snow, I don't so much like living in snow. And it has pretty much snowed since the 1st of December and been cold and yucky. I haven't even gotten all my leaves up in the backyard. Well, enough of me ranting. Let's get back to the card. So I'm making a little bit of a blue shadow, so he's not quite so white. And it probably, I mean, it could definitely be done better by a colorist, but you can tell. Well, I don't have a Inktense color light enough to be sky, and I wanted sky. So I just got a piece of scrap acetate, from a package that I'd cut off, and I'm just going to add lots of water, and you can just rub your pencil and get some pigment off of it with your brush and just add water. I wanted to make it have a little bit of motion, so it's kind of streaky, kind of like the snow's coming down, only the snow seems to be coming down and the sky goes the other way. But hey, this is art. And I'm finishing up, and I know that I'm going to be doing a circle, so it's not a huge deal if I don't get to the edges. Now I'm laying the acetate sheet on top, positioning it and folding it over. You're going to want a nice crisp crease and use your bone folder. And I kind of have it lined up there on the mat to make sure it's straight, although it really doesn't matter because we're cutting off the bottom anyway and it's a circle. But oh well. And use some really strong tape. This happens to be 1/4 inch score tape. And just smooth that down and give it a good once over with the bone folder. And there is the beginnings of the hinge of the card. Now to make the globe. Notice how I have that positioned up over on top of the circle, that where part of it is missing. And because I left a gap there, I'm pointing to it. There's a gap there. That will not be cut when this goes through, which means that the back won't be cut, and that is what's going to provide our hinge. And with that tape and everything, it was in the double layer of acetate, it kind of got caught up there. So I'm just going to take my scissors and gently trim out the excess and make it look all nice. And it's real easy, you just go along the seam there. Oh, by the way, I wanted to invite you, if you are enjoying this, to please feel free to subscribe and hit that bell, and you'll get notices of other posts that I do. And I also have a library of lots and lots of videos that you could go back. A lot of them anyway, are interactive, and I try to do something unique with each card. So I'm just going to place the circle on the back, and that is a Nina 110-pound solar white circle to give it just a little more sturdiness, and snip off the top right up there at the hinge. Now it's time to work on the base. I just laid the glitter piece on the front about where I thought it should be. I don't do a lot of measuring. I'm a kind of by gosh and by golly person. And then I put the white piece on the back, and now I'm going to do the back part of the base and just glue that, just make it even with the front. Put a little bit of glue there. Shut the lid on that and then stick the last Nina 110 pound solar white card there. And now we have a nice sturdy base. To keep this short so you can get to other stops on the hop, I went ahead and finished it up, but I looked at it and I said, you know, I think it's a little bit too tall. So I cut it down. I added a stacked die cut of hugs from Lawn Fawn, and I put some the Prismacolor. I used some glue dots on the snowman, on the snowflakes, and put some Prismacolor there under the snowman and on the acetate as well. And there is your card. I hope you enjoyed this, and be sure to click like and subscribe if you had fun and learned something, and to please go over to my blog, the darbycreekdiaries.blogspot.com, for the rest of the blog, the hop information on how to win some of, I think, 30 prizes, some big prizes too. I appreciate you stopping by. I hope you come back and have a fabulous day. Bye-bye.